Hi, welcome to another installation of Community Forum. I am your host this episode. My name is Andrea Gartner, and I'm chair of the Danbury Democrats. We're visiting again with Lisa Scales, executive director of the Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut. Lisa, in response to national, international things that are happening, has created a program through the Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut called Walk in Their Shoes. The last time we spoke with Lisa, she was getting ready for the launch of this initiative. And this episode is basically a follow-up to what that response has been since a little bit over 3 weeks ago. So welcome, Lisa. It's nice to have you back.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So the Walk in Their Shoes, full disclosure, I'm a participant. I'm part of one of the community members in the greater Danbury area in the region that has signed up to follow your lead in this, in the creative community's response to anti-racism, social injustice, something that's really still happening in our country, and people have responded globally in that regard. So what have we learned in the last 3 weeks?
Well, first of all, I'd like to just say that we're like up to 60 members as a part of this group. And make no mistake about it, this is definitely an anti-racist ally group. And it's mostly directed and being participated by creative leaders, but a real mix. We've got, art leaders, cultural leaders, artists that are involved with different mediums. And I'm just so happy by the response in our region, in our area. I'm not surprised by it. So that's the first thing that I just wanted to highlight, that it's very exciting for me to see so many concerned individuals wanting to do this work. And what have we learned? Oh my goodness, we're still learning. We're just getting started, but I have to say it has been an intense 3 weeks.
It has. Let's start with the very basics, which is, what does it mean to be an anti-racist? Because I don't know that everyone's familiar with that term. It sounds like, oh, I'm anti-racism, but that's not really what it means to be an anti-racist. It really runs a lot deeper than that.
It does. And one of the things actually that's going on with our cohort is we're doing a book read together. So collectively, we're reading the book by Dr. Ibram Kendi on how to be an anti-racist. And, the way that he gets into it and describes and defines anti-racist is pretty interesting. And so for him, you're either a racist or you're an anti-racist, and being a racist isn't relegated just to white people. I mean, anybody can be a racist. To be an anti-racist means that you're actively committing and working to eliminate all forms of racism, and from having conversations with people to the work that you're doing in your sector, your professional work, to your community, to the nation. It's really all about your commitment and consciousness and awareness about trying to eliminate all acts of racism.
Well, and what I found, and that book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, should be required reading, I think, for anyone who's interested in addressing this issue and working towards righting the wrongs of the past. One thing, we had a conversation about this recently, is just how deep and how wide that this systemic injustices are. And I feel I've been particularly, it gets emotional when you really start taking the deep dives, which is what Dr. Kendi does. And he does it through his own experience as growing up a Black man in this country. When you truly start to understand how it's almost a default. The default is to continue a structure that supports racism in favorable ways when your color is white, as opposed to other colors. That I think I summed it up the other day. I feel like I've been had I feel I've been had. I mean, I am a product of public school. I've attended amazing universities. I have a master's in history. And what I haven't learned at this stage in my life, I feel like I have been had. That there is, there's just so much to learn. And part of that education, it's painful. It's very painful as someone who hasn't experienced it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bridges that have to be created. And I mean, really, I'm commending you for building that bridge here in the Western Connecticut region.
Well, I'm as excited about this work as anybody. And listen, walk in their shoes, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of people doing this work across the country. For us, with walk in their shoes, there's only one requirement. And that one requirement is to be a part of the group, you have to commit to identifying 3 actionable practices by the end of this year. Identify, not implement, identify. But what we know is that there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen before you can even do that in any meaningful way to make real change. And part of that is that foundational work, that unpacking that you're referring to, peeling back the onion, doing that foundational work, looking at, social injustice and how ingrained into the very fabric of our institutions that it is. And in that process, yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of introspection, reflecting, questioning and challenging the things that we've learned through our traditional educational systems. There's just so much that goes with that. So walk in your shoes allows the time to explore that through independent learning, through shared learning experiences, and to do it in a way that we support one another. So it's been interesting, but I got to tell you, your feelings about the way you put it, that you feel like you've been had. I mean, that is just institutional implicit racism at its best, right? I mean, it's just, you don't know what you don't know until the veil is lifted off of your eyes. And that's one of the things that I'm so excited about the process we're going through. We're lifting veils off.
And it's incredible. And like I said, I've seen this in this particular forum and in others, just the reaction of people of white color who again, they have that feeling that they've been had. You're particularly sensitive to that, I think. And I have to say, I really do appreciate that, because it can feel overwhelming. And then there's the added layer of it's overwhelming to someone that looks like me, right? And has had the advantage of wearing this skin throughout my life. But you're very careful and you're very compassionate in the sense that you say, and compassion, I like to define compassion of where it's not 2 people showing up and one person says, oh, I feel so bad for you. I have compassion for your circumstance. It's really about showing up as equals and recognizing where people have walked in their own shoes and understanding where that person's coming from and having that person understand where you're coming from. And it's not a place of judgment, but it's a place of acceptance. And that's when I'm using compassion. I'm using it in that way. Mm-hmm. And you assure a lot of people, I've noticed in this group, by just saying that, listen, this is a drip, drip, drip. Yeah. Because it's really so much to take in, especially when a lot of us, our backgrounds in social justice issues is emancipation and civil rights, and forgetting, all that time in between, almost 100 years in between that, which is very rich with history. And then the 100 years before emancipation, or the 200 years before emancipation, or the 300 years.
Yeah, we're talking 400 years of setting up a systemic system to subjugate people, to create a whole just a system where people are being dehumanized and disenfranchised. And so what makes any of us think, even with this heightened social consciousness, that it's just going to go away overnight? It isn't. So, so selfishly, listen, I've been around where I've seen moments like this come and go, but there is something about this moment in particular, and maybe it is because I'm at a certain age. I just I have a selfish motivation, and that is we need to all not only commit in the heat of the moment and through our passion, but we need to commit for the long haul. This is going to take a long time to dismantle. Hopefully not 400 years.
No.
it, it's just not going to be a quick fix. And that's our human nature, right? I mean, we see things that upset us, and we just want to fix it. We want,
Yeah.
what's the fix? What's the fix? Tell me what I need to do to fix this. Well, what you need to do to fix this in a way that's sustaining, you're doing right now. And that is educate yourself. Find out how deep this goes. Find out how this actually has impacted your thinking, your behavior, the people around you. And then, just kind of go from there. So this is we're in it for the long haul. And the way that I see walk in their shoes is this is not trend. We've added, as far as the Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut is concerned, I'm hoping that it's something that we'll just keep doing from here on out.
Right, and make it a filter. What I particularly appreciate about Dr. Kendi's book and also his stance is that the filter from here on in is really about, is a policy racist or is it anti-racist?
Yeah.
And that needs to be the filter. And if you're not applying those filters in that clear cut of a way, then probably it's a racist policy.
Probably.
Yeah. So I want to also give people an opportunity. You have a basic consortium or with this walk in their shoes,
yeah.
But there's also opportunities for the public to join it. So how do they do that? How are they able to do that?
So, to be fair, we're kind of like, I mean, this is new for us too, right? So we're kind of building this framework out as we go. One of the things that I knew that I wanted it to be was something that is not so proscriptive, and to be able to give an opportunity, sort of like what you were talking about before, have people feel as if not only that there's a place for them to do this work, but they can do this work in a way that works with other priorities. I mean, we have a lot of things, all of us, we're all very busy people. And so the other framework, or the other aspect of this framework is, do we close it? Do we keep it closed? And if we do, at what point do we close it and it doesn't become available to the public? Well, what we determine is that the conversations are rich. And we've had 3. It's been a very, very intense 3 weeks, actually. And those conversations are conversations that should be open to the public, because the discussions in and of themselves is something that can stand on their own, and people can really walk away with either a new perspective or be inspired in some way. Where the distinction, though, is made between people that attend those conversations and those that are actually a part of the group is that we're adding wraparound services for those that have committed in the long run to walk in their shoes, which, by the way, is still open for people if they care to join. It's not too late. There are going to be discussions that are closed only to the Walk in Their Shoes group. For example, we will be starting in 3 weeks, 3 to 5 iterations, topic discussions on how to be an anti-racist. Those have to be closed because, well, I anticipate them being, sensitive conversations, number one, and we want to create a safe place for people to have these conversations. But also, it's with the understanding that it is a group read. So unless someone has already read the book and wants to join the organization, we have to sort of cut it off there. But we'll continue with public conversations as well. And at that point, we will let people know. We'll just announce them.
Yeah, and again, the read, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Dr. Kendi. So if people want to join in, is it they go to the Facebook page of the Cultural Alliance and there's and it's apparent join there, or
I would say
how do they join in?
No, yeah, it's It's a fair question. So I would say at this point that people should probably contact me first, because there is quite a bit that we're offering here, to the group. And because we have limited resources, this is not a, oh, can I try it out and then let you know, so, contact me directly and we'll have a conversation, which I've had with several people, and they were able to make their decision as to whether or not they want to make a commitment.
And that would be via email at L for Lisa,
L,
Scale, your last name, at cawct.org, right? Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut.org.
Correct.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So, I've shared what basically my response has been, and it's a lot. I mean, it's if you're really taking this to heart and you really want to be an agent of change in whatever, in your family, in your community, and in the wider world, it's a lot to take in. And that's been my surprise, right? That's been my eye-opening experience of really how systemic, how broad, how deep this all runs. What has been your surprise in since you started engaging in this work?
Personally?
Yeah, personally. We had a conversation.
You and I talked, so I've got, which level do you want here?
I remember a conversation that we had, and this is where I saw a change in you. I remember during post George Floyd, the reaction, everything happening, and you have a young granddaughter. She's going to be a year soon, and just you're sort of bereft of hope that anything would ever change after that and I might get teary as I think you might too. After that video went viral.
Yeah.
The response to that video, the response to the peaceful protesters, the extent, I mean, it's still happening in Portland, right? There's still people every day showing up to not let this issue die. That you had shared that you felt for the first time, like maybe there is hope. Like you've had that shift. I don't know. So that might be the personal side, but in convening this group, what's happening in the region, what has been an eye opener for you, and on both the personal and the professional?
Well, to connect that moment that I shared with you to now, I have to tell you, I willed myself, and this is a little bit more on the personal side, but I didn't will myself to feel hopeful in the beginning because I really knew that I needed to. I am a grandma now, and when I think about other people's children and their children, that's really all we have left, right? Is this sense that it will get better. And so I willed myself to that place. And then now having started, which led to the creation of this framework to be able to lead other creative thought leaders in this work. And now that we're engaged, I feel really hopeful. I'm encouraged. Because this small cohort, 60 people, not that small for me, that are really making a decision to dive in, as you put it. It is a lot, and yet they're still here. Now, it's only been 3 weeks, but I got to tell you, in 3 weeks, I've thrown a lot at you. Between the dialogues and the data and the resources and things to think about, and in the context of all that it is that you have going on in your life, I am super sensitive to that. I've thrown a lot at you. So that encourages me that people are not just still a part of this ally group, but you all are engaged. Like there's conversations. I've had virtual coffee meetings with various people that I'm getting ready to, just share with everybody. So it is encouraging, and it just fuels me, keeps me going.
So is the eye-opening experience that the response the commitment that people have, the moving forward, the response?
Um, the eye-opening for me is that
It's just our general ignorance, and also, right? Like that there is as eye-opening as the depth and breadth of the systemic injustices are, is it just as eye-opening to you that it's eye-opening to people like me? I mean, I don't know.
No, I still hang on to the fact that no, it's really that people like yourself and others who are who are having epiphanies, who are seeing things in a different light, the fact that you're still willing to dive even further, that's what's eye-opening for me. Because in the moments that I've had over the years, what has been typical is they fade away. Those moments fade. People do what I didn't want walk in their shoes to promote, and that is band-aid responses, quick fixes, a program here and there, throw up a piece of art and it has a shelf life that ends, and it doesn't really change things. No, my eye-opening moment is the fact that so far, a compelling number of folks, influencers across this region, are willing to go even further. And so now I'm feeling like there's no turning back.
I agree with you on that, because I readily share with people that my eyes have been opened, and literally to the end of my days, I will stand as an anti-racist, and I will call things out when I see things.
Now you're gonna make me cry. So that's my eye opener.
And I think too, because you've been so thoughtful in this programming of Walk in Their Shoes, and because of the work that you do, you're a dynamo when it's supporting arts initiatives in the region. You have direct lines to people in the state and state government. You also serve nationally on the Americans for the Arts. So the resources that you bring are very, very rich, and I think it makes for a very credible program. And to be on the ground floor of that with you, my friend, is an honor. It really is.
Well, we're writing history together. Stop it.
Yeah, let's stop that.
Yeah. No, it means everything, all of that. And so you're just adding to that eye opener, Dre. It is about what's meaningful here. I'm not interested, and I don't know how many people really are. I mean, we're not interested in doing this just to be doing it. We all really want to make a difference. If we can have that mark in history, who knows what's going to be, what it's going to be like 10, 15, 20 years, a generation from now. But I can feel comfortable that we've made the beginnings of something. So.
And there is, I think, a responsibility. I would say there's a variety of age groups in this consortium, but I think it's I think at least among the white participants, it trends a little older, right? Mm-hmm. So people are leading organizations, some retirees. Mm-hmm. I feel that if there's an awareness among people of this generation, whatever you want to say, 40, 45 to 70 and older, the fact that the numbers of millennials, the numbers of people in the younger generation who really, to me, feel more open and see and want this as their way of life is encouraging. And it really is sort of up to us to lead them and lead by example, so that they can build the framework for them to step into, because they're the ones showing up at the protests, right? They are the ones that are being peaceful. They're all the ones that are demanding equity and engagement on diversity and inclusion issues.
Yeah.
It's very,
and they're looking to come together around this, and they're looking for leadership, and they're looking for inclusion. So, So we're one place that they can hang out, and they're a part of us as well. So,
Yeah. Again, anyone who wants to get involved in the walk in their shoes. Well, first of all, just sign up for the Cultural Alliance newsletter, because that always has a lot of great information in it. And that you can easily do by going to the website, cawct.org. There's a way to sign up for that if you're not already on the email newsletter list. Also, I would encourage you to become a member. It's like the best deal in town. Maybe, what is it, $45 a year or something to join in as a member. And you'll actually support this work. And if you're so inclined as a contributor in the community, as a philanthropist, there's funding opportunities to really expand and keep Walk in Their Shoes growing. Again, and then to get in touch with you directly would be an email, your Scails@cawct.org. We've got a couple more minutes. I think like maybe a minute and a half. So the hope for granddaughter Avery in a nutshell would be.
Oh boy. Everything. I mean, for her to not, to just
No
have
microaggressions, nothing, right? Nothing like that.
we don't want her to feel a certain kind of way when she goes to school. I mean, there's just so much, that we hope that she doesn't have to deal with as she's growing up. So we're going to do the best that we can to help mitigate.
I'm doing it for Avery too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely doing it for Avery. So we convene again in 3 weeks. You're 3 weeks.
We haven't gotten the schedule together. I am finalizing that now with our work plan, the discussion plan around how to be an anti-racist. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it's going to be a self-guided, not self-guided, but a sort of a self-facilitated with members of the group. For these conversations, and we're going to dive in. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, I think
we'll have you back after the deep dive.
Okay, that sounds really awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.